one of the interesting things for me is like I have a lot of natural talents that I don't sort of give myself credit for. So probably the best like advice I actually got was just to trust in myself and like trust my gut and sort of release any of those like fears or doubts or anything, and just like go with what I thought was like the truth and what I thought was the best. And since I've been like trusting in that more and like speaking more like my mind and my truth, it's returned a lot more money.
So joining me on the call today, I've got Lawrence Petruzzelli. Welcome to the call, Lawrence.
Thanks, David.
Now it's MDB Taxation and Business Advisory, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Even though your head's right in the middle, so I can't quite see exactly what's underneath. There you go. Awesome. So maybe tell us a bit about what MDB does.
Yeah, so we're an accounting firm. It's a family-run business. So both my mum and dad actually work with me as well, and they've been in this business in one shape or another. A couple of different name changes and that, but over 35 years, so quite experienced. And we're more service-focused business. So we look at being responsive and serving our customers more on that level rather than trying to compete and have a lot of people in and not lower service, lower cost sort of thing. But we're not about that.
Yeah. So when you say tax advisory and accounting, that's obviously the compliance stuff, but also it sounds like you do a bit more than just compliance, right?
Yeah. So the way that we see is that you start with compliance. So we will do all the compliance work because you need a good base. Like you need to know your numbers. Then based on those numbers, that's where we drive our advisory. So we focus on getting the compliance right, making sure you're not overpaying on tax. That's one element. And then once that is set and correct, then we look at we've got the numbers now, what can we do with it? It doesn't stop there. Then you have to look at, how can we help this business, or how can we help this person achieve either their personal goals or their business goals, or both?
Yeah. Can you give me some examples of some sort of areas that you've helped businesses like that?
Yeah, so I had a client that came on board and his business was growing quite rapidly, and he was in the complete wrong structure, and his other accountant said, look, there's no tax advantage if you're a sole trader or in a company. But he sort of didn't recognize that his revenue had tripled in that short period. So we incorporated him. We set up like a family trust for him because he also wanted to do a couple of investments. So just by having up-to-date numbers, because we put him onto a cloud-based accounting software. So instead of seeing his figures 12 months before, like we were looking at what's actually happening right now. So then we projected forward and we said, okay, let's do this, and this before the end of the financial year. And then all the pandemic stuff also hit, but just luckily that we incorporated him, did everything before all the dates. We actually managed to get him 70 grand better off than what he would have been if he kept as a sole trader. So
right. And it's funny because what you just touched on is really, the structure that a business has may be suitable at the time, but then they'll probably outgrow it. And it's not just a static thing. I think that it should be reviewed on a regular basis just to make sure that the guys are optimized for taxation and also optimized for profit. So maybe tell me what makes you guys different to your stock standard accountant.
Yeah, so we have a lot of experience in the industry, but also most of pretty much all our managers have worked in different businesses or had their own business as well. They're not just employees, always been accountants. So we've got projects that we've done like in property development. We've got people who've run like a building firm. We've done joint ventures with other accountants in manufacturing and other industries as well. So we've got that hands-on experience. And then the other thing as well that we pride ourselves on is because we don't have thousands and thousands of clients to one person putting them under the pump, where you might get a response from the accountant like a week later. We believe that if someone's about to do a deal or doing something important, they need that timely advice from their accountant. So the way that we see is that we're very responsive. We're always just a phone call away. And that can be very important, even like purchasing a property, for instance. If someone's purchasing a property and they don't know exactly what entity to put it in, or if they should put in their own names or anything like that, they need that advice from their accountant. If they can't get that advice in a timely manner, just say they're at auction and they have to sign a contract,
Yeah.
If they sign that contract with the wrong name, and then they're like, oh no, we have to put it into a different entity for whatever reasons, they could be up for double stamp duty.
Okay. Yeah. So it's really about getting the advice in a timely manner, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. So tell me, how long have you been working in the business for?
So me personally, I've been in here, I think 6 years now. Time sort of goes quickly. So before that, I was running my own business and also working in a couple of other industries as well. So
okay,
bring a bit of that experience to the table. But because it is a family business, I have since I was like a little kid as well, sort of worked in the business, which sort of happens with a lot of family businesses. So I always had a bit of that experience. But yeah, went out and did a couple of things on my own, and then came back here, and yeah, so I enjoy it. So
sounds like
focus on here.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you consider to be the best piece of business advice you've received?
See, one of the interesting things for me is like I have a lot of natural talents that I don't sort of give myself credit for. So probably the best like advice I actually got was just to trust in myself and like trust my gut.
Yeah.
And sort of release any of those like fears or doubts or anything, and just like go with what I thought was like the truth and what I thought was the best. And since I've been like trusting in that more and like speaking more like my mind and my truth, it's returned a lot more money.
Yeah. It is interesting because people really sometimes don't know which way to turn, and they ask questions and they're looking for confirmation from the outside world. And I think one of the best and probably the worst things about running your own business is like choose your own adventure, right? There's no right way of doing things. Everyone has their own view of the world and how they should do things. So I think, what you talked about there, trusting in your own gut, is really just about making decisions without procrastinating and just sort of saying, what sounds right, and let's just go with it. Because if you make the wrong decision, you'll know soon enough, right?
Yeah, and you pretty much just learn from it. It's like, okay, what can I do better next time?
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, outside of work, hobbies, what do you do for fun?
So I do quite a bit of reading, especially during lockdown. Like, it was a good time to get a lot of reading. Smash out. I like to go to gym and train. So I set up my work days where I come in the morning early. Like I do a bit of a morning routine, come into the office, sort of smash out a bunch of work, and then I take like 2 hours off just to go to gym and to me that's like very important to keep performing really well. So I take a 2 hour block there, go gym, have some food, have a shower and stuff, then come back into the office, and then just smash out the rest of the afternoon. And then I love my cars, so a bit of car racing, bit of a petrol head, traveling around, and then just going out, meeting new people and being social.
Awesome. So you mentioned you like reading. Is there a particular style of book that you read?
So I normally flick between like business books, self-development books, and spirituality books.
Is there a book that's a highlight for you, like your favorite book of the moment?
Ooh, I did recently read Letting Go by David Hawkins.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, that was quite profound.
Yeah. So what's the core message in that book? Obviously letting go, but like what moved you?
Yeah, so I was just more about the awareness and becoming like sort of looking, because he has like a bit of an emotional ladder. So it's like showing that like most people are stuck in like fear, apathy, and grief. So I sort of resonated with that a lot because I used to be stuck in a lot of apathy when it came to emotional stuff, and so just learning all the different other emotions and being able to feel them more, and then release those lower emotions to then get into some of the higher emotions of like peace and love and just higher vibe. And like I've even had friends tell me that are a bit more spiritual. They're like, oh, like you've changed like since I've last seen you, like in a good way, like your vibration's a lot better. So there's definitely something that's helped out in there.
Yeah. I think often people don't see, if they can't see it, then it doesn't exist, right? And when you talk about spirituality, people sometimes go straight to the Bible or the this or the that. And I think it's just really recognizing that there might be something outside of just what we can see.
Yeah.
And I think when you acknowledge that, it sort of releases a lot of the anxiety that society creates, because we've probably been through one of the most stressful times in history, I think, the last 2 years. And It's impacted a lot of people, right?
Yeah, like there's definitely, I've seen, especially with businesses and stuff, seen a lot of horrible things happen. But on the other, like the flip side, like it was sort of a blessing. Like as much as I've had a horrible experience with it, but it's also caused me to like have to really look deep internally and sort of seek out different mentors and sort of grow and work on different things internally as well. So it's sort of a bit of a, I don't know, good and a bad sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Look, I'm mindful of time, so I might wrap up with my last question, which is advice to people in business right now. What would you suggest they should be focused on?
Focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do.
Yeah,
a lot of people sort of, you see everything's going around. You can't control like what the government chooses to do and whatever else. Like that's out of your control. But it doesn't mean that you can export like your power and say, I'm powerless and I'm hopeless or I'm helpless. I can't do anything. If you focus on like what you can do, there's actually a lot of opportunities out there, and just sort of being either thinking outside the box or coming up with new ideas or just making those subtle shifts in your business. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Like what people don't get is that the government's like printed so much money that's like we've never seen before. So there's just so much money out there to like get right now. It's like the opportunities are amazing. Like if you watch like the news or whatever, you think that everything's doom and gloom, but there's actually a lot of opportunity out there to really make big shifts and really thrive and get ahead of everyone else who's sort of sitting in that fear of we can't do anything because whatever else. So
it's funny you say that because when the government prints money, people think, oh my God, they're printing money, they're putting us into debt. But that's one side of the story, right? The other side is there's so much money around because they're basically printing it and giving it away, and for most people they won't keep it. They'll just take it and spend it, right? So you just need to be where they're going to spend the money, and all of a sudden you can sort of accumulate quite a lot of the cash that's moving around. So it is interesting times, and I think you're right. I think most people, if they think scarcity and they think fear, then they do nothing. And then you've got other people are going, hang on a second, there's more money in circulation than ever before. And, people, they are spending it. We just need to work out where, and then we can just tap into it. So opportunity exists. And especially now, I think it's probably bigger than ever. It's just a matter of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Lawrence, look, I really appreciate the insight and getting to know a bit more about you. Thanks very much for your time today. And I think I'm going to get that book, Letting Go. It sounds like a good one. Add it to the list.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, pleasure. Cheers.